into the draft.
Right, so coming into this draft, let me just quickly go through the roster coming out from both teams first. From the side of Renegades, we have Chingy, Spaghetti, and Tazaboy. So that is the usual infamous name we see. And for the side of Divine Aurora, we have... for the side of Divine Aurora, we have Majin, Spitfire 101, Neon C, Peach Razor X, and Highest.
Yeah, so going into the draft, we see Lyra first ban from Renegade. We are, of course, on 2.9. Churnwalker's available. Black Feather seems pretty OP, so he's going to be banned away on B side. That makes sense. The hotfixes are in place, or Black Feather's Faint of Heart execute damage down from 20% down to 10%. But still, it's an awful lot given the max health buff, given the fact that Assassins are so in the meta right now. And I'm very surprised to see a Finn first pick from Renegade. It's clearly a captain they want to play. I really wasn't expecting that. I was expecting emphasis on Reza, Assassins like that, maybe Taka, because Aftershock is just so strong.
Oh, definitely. I can see if, Korsho will come back into the meta. We've not quite seen her being played for the last two seasons, or rather last season at least. So coming into this game, I'm actually quite surprised. I must say that the Castro immediately picked up by Infamous. Although Infamous, they are known for their push comp. They just really want to push. They want to put pressure in that of lane. Objective secures the game at the end of the day. And we have Rona being banned out by the side of Infamous.
Yeah, but here we haven't seen for absolutely ages. Rona is a second ban by the side of Divine Aurora because she's really good against a lot of the assassins that I was talking about earlier. People like Taka are terrible against Rona. Yes, they have Taka has a mortal wound, but you just can't burst Rona down. She's going to get in your face, spin around with the red mist, and it's really hard to burst someone like Rona. So the Kestrel pick and an Arden ban, Renegade are trying to get rid of as many captains as possible. I don't think that's going to work because there's still Catherine, there's still Lance, they decide to pick up the Catherine. You really can't ban away a captain's hero pool this patch. With the addition of Churnwalker, he's not great, but he'll do. He's a pretty good captain if everyone else is banned away. So I think banning away captains will slowly fall out of the meta because there were loads of good ones, and it will be more priority picking the carries, as we've seen the first pick of Kestrel as a priority pick for Divine Aurora. Now Renegade have got decision what kind of comp they want to run. They've got a Finn, so they could try and go for a dive comp, and they will with an Ozo. And once again, another hero we haven't seen for ages. I'm really excited to see Ozo.
Yep, Ozo with an Aftershock, really, really strong. And even before 2.9.1, we've seen quite an incredible plays coming out from Infamous and generally Infamous with Chingy on those Ozo. If not, then I think it's Nebulae on Ozo. But we do see the Adagio being picked up by the side of Divine Aurora, probably just to run, sustain onto that Ozo. And weapon power Adagio just seems very strong in this current patch. Longest range as well. Not sure. I'm not entirely sure as to how the Adagio will match up against a Castrol if Castrol is placed in lane. But I guess Castro can easily poke Adagio out. And Rhyme is one of those heroes that I really wanted to talk about earlier on. And I'm quite surprised as to Divine Aurora did not immediately just securing Rhyme for themselves. And Rhyme just so strong, although he met with some nerfs in 2.9.1. But overall, he is still very strong against melee heroes. And on top of that, he can just push for the early game.
Yeah, Rhyme is really good against Ozo as well because Ozo's got very predictable movements. You know when he's going to jump in, and as soon as Ozo starts his acro bounce, the third bounce is almost guaranteed to be on Kestrel. And so all you have to do is set up an active camo trap, put a Winter Spire down on top of Kestrel. Ozo's going to take massive burst as soon as he lands that damage onto Kestrel with the Winter Spire, probably a stun, Glimmer Shots, and the second Winter Spire because he's stunned in place. That I think it's if played well, Divine Aurora can easily win this game. But I would like to ask you, Luxury, are you sure it's going to be a weapon Adagio? Because that doesn't have much healing to scale with Ozo. Do you think we might see a double Crystal comp or maybe even a weapon Ozo?
Whoa, weapon Ozo. Wow, you are definitely putting the ball out there, aren't you, Mini? I mean, for a Crystal Adagio, your healing don't quite scale as well. Crystal's Adagio's healing really scales with health. So if you don't ask me, I think Weapon Adagio will be the thing that we'll probably see coming out from Divine Aurora, coming out from Infamous. So we have Infamous on the blue side, and we have Divine Aurora on the red side. That is my bad. I mixed them both up.
Close. We have Renegade on A side and Divine Aurora on the B side.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there you go. My bad as well. I need to get Renegades into my head at this point in time. I really, really do. And the Finn, Ozo, and Adagio pickup. Wow, I mean, coming out from Renegades, they usually do run very peculiar, interesting team comps. We've seen it before, and we'll see it today again.
Yeah,
and
I think Shingy will probably be placed on this Ozo. Shingy's one of really good on heroes like Ozo. We've seen Shingy on Koshka before, and so that is quite a likely pickup, and means obviously it's going to be running jungle. I think even though I kind of want to see a Weapon Ozo, I think Weapon Adagio is much more likely. As you said, it will outrange Kestrel in terms of basic attacks, but once the Glimmer Shots come through from Kestrel, Adagio will be in quite a bit of trouble. So it's all about positioning, whether Renegade can stay behind the minions, stay body blocked by the Kestrel Glimmer Shots, then Adagio, I think at level 1 has got the longest range in the game, whereas at level 8, Petal outranges him, and at level 9 and 12, Baron outranges him. But apart from that, I think level 1 you have got pretty much the longest range in the game, which is pretty significant for early game laner like Adagio can be, and can put quite a lot of pressure with his fire, with his buff at level 2. It could be a problem for Kestrel to try and farm up.
I personally don't know. I mean, just looking at drafts, I really want to say I like the draft coming out from Divine Aurora. I mean, they drafted very well. The Kestrel being picked up definitely will be able to poke out that of Adagio, but Adagio, of course, in the early game has got its own sustain with that Gift of Fire, and the amount of CCs coming out from Divine Aurora as well. That Catherine and into the root coming out from Rhyme with the Chill Winds. If not, then the Valkyrie stun out slow. So, if you don't ask me, I really want to say that Divine Aurora definitely will come out on top. Do come out on top in terms of draft. And I really like the early game. Before Ozo actually gets the Aftershock, he does decent damage, but just not as much as Rhyme. And as you say, Ozo's movement are very, very predictable, and it's quite easy for Rhyme to just catch him out.
What do you think about Rhyme getting an Aftershock this game? Do you think it's a possibility, or is it a stupid idea? Because Rhyme uses basic attacks in his kit. You have to get that Frost Guard applied. Aftershock is very strong, especially against someone like Finn in this patch. Do you think that's a possibility, or are we just going to see the standard Shatterglass into Eve of Harvest into Clockwork Rhyme we've normally seen? Or maybe Dragon's Eye?
Yeah, I think that will be the Rhyme that we will be seeing. I mean, I have not quite seen a lot of Aftershock Rhymes going around, although it makes total sense. Rhyme is a close range mage, is a melee mage, and basic attacks are generally how he rolls. But so far, we haven't quite seen usage on Aftershock on Rhyme at all.
Yeah, that's a bit too forward thinking for people at the moment, but they'll see in a couple of months that Aftershock Rhyme is actually OP, and I thought of it first. But we are now loading into the Halcyon Fold for the first game of the weekend, and it looks like it is going to be, unfortunately, Crystal Ozo, the much stronger path this patch, and a Weapon Adagio, which does make sense. We've seen it come out a little bit in North America, and it was obviously quite big in Southeast Asia a few months ago, and maybe teams have remembered that Weapon Adagio didn't get changed for ages, so he's just as strong as he was quite a while ago.
Yeah, but what change we see here, it's just the rise of Petal increase the usage of Adagio, because in the early game you can just poke him out with Tezza Boy.
We're going to try and steal away the Elder Tree, and unable to do so. The Divine Aurora do secure the first Elder, and now they're going to work towards their back camps of the jungle. There was an important experience change in the jungle, which does cause a couple of different rotations to be possible. If you have your laner and jungler take the back camps and then the mid heal, and make sure that the laner gets one of the farm, then you'll both be level 2 immediately, and you can go in and try and invade if you have a quicker farm clear. So that is something that we might see later on, but not quite today. Divine Aurora is deciding to go with the backwards rotation just to make sure they get that Elder Tree. And so that is something that I've seen quite a lot of teams do, which is just try and go aggressive early on. And they are going to go aggressive. Onto Tezza Boy, stun onto Spaghetti. Boots from Tezza Boy to try and keep Spaghetti alive, and he will be able to do this, but will he fall for it himself? Neonsi not going to have any more Glimmer Shots to try and chunk him down. Spaghetti, though, very low, forced to fire on himself, not going to get any burn. he's going to be a little bit low on energy. Now Ryan looking to see what he can get. Spitfire 101 waiting for the front camp. It's not up. Going to go to the Elder Tree. And now Kestrel is fine in lane. Finn's not quite sure where to go. He wants to help his Ozo secure that farm. But Adagio's in a bit of trouble. But look at that wave for Kestrel.
Yep, and like I mentioned earlier on, whether Crystal or Weapon Adagio, you would do not as well against a Neon C on this, or rather Adagio, you will not do as well as compared to Neon C on this Kestrel in terms of poke, as long as Kestrel has got access to those glimmer shots, and we just saw the amount of damage that Kestrel could put out with just a couple, if not then 3 glimmer shots there. So maybe that side of Renegades really have to rethink as to how they are going to go with this this game. We saw that, you know, Renegades in itself, they are very good with the early game snowball, but if they are put on a back feed, and we saw it once coming up from Branchong going up against Renegades, and Branchong just pushed them till they are behind in gold, behind the objectives, but Renegade just have got in them to just turtle up, well, farm up, and then come back, just capitalize on the single mistakes made by Divine Aurora, but now imagine going in on Tezza Boy.
Yep, looking to get some Captain of the Guard stacks, maybe secure some farm more. Divine Aurora is as 3 going towards this mid-healing camp, and it is going to be secured by Kestrel. Nice quibble, but actually it's on to Margin. That's not the target you want with the Storm Guard. First blood over to Divine Aurora. They're about 1k gold ahead. Adagio is looking for some backs, but I don't think they're going to be up with that. Actually, they are going to spawn right now, so that's really good for the side of Renegade. And now Shingy could be in a bit of trouble, but he's going to be able to get away. Spitfire will get the entire back camps. The wave for Kestrel is really poorly well frozen by Adagio. So this means Neonsi is going to be getting almost nothing. He doesn't get any ambient backs with Rhyme, isn't able to get any lane because it's been pushed into turret. So well played by Spaghetti to handle the wave and rotate to the backs to make sure that he kept up in gold as much as possible.
Yep, very well played indeed, but we do see the bigger wave will be coming in for Neon C now. Spaghetti currently sitting at 27, 28 CS, and now Neon C can just easily catch up now, 29, 30. There you go. So although Spaghetti definitely helped lane well.
Big Spaghetti could be in trouble. That's a good stun. That's a root. That's some glimmer shots, and Catherine's past it. He's in a lot of trouble in lane. That's very interesting because you thought you'd be okay. You had quite a big wave. Kestrel was busy farming, but it turns out Divine Auroras wanted their blood, and now they want to look to seize this tier 1 turret. Ozo is not there. Darjo's obviously in base because he's just died. So are they going to go for it? No, they're just going to rotate down to shop. Kestrel is going to not quite be able to pick up the Soil Blade because she did get that energy battery early on. So it's good to help the glimmer shots, but it's costing him now because he just has to wait. Needs to get a little bit more farm before having that power spike of Soil Blade. Where Spaghetti obviously still can't get his, but Divine Auroras now aren't ahead in terms of items because Neon C hasn't been able to pick that one up.
Yeah, but we do see Tezza Boy just being very aggressive in that mustache bush, trying to find someone. Chingy as well rotating up. 3-man push onto this tier 1 turret of Divine Aurora.
Trying to get as much damage as they can, but it won't be too much. Spaghetti going to buff himself, but unable to get any basic attacks on anyone burning. So he's down to half health, half energy, sorry. Kestrel going aggressive, and there's going to be a nice polite company from Finn to make sure there wasn't too much aggression on Spaghetti. Quibble on Spitfire, but that will not hurt him a bit. That's the boy going to take a lot of poke from that Rhyme. And now Ozo doesn't really know what to do. Shingy only level 5, no aftershock yet. So Shingy wants to farm up, wants to make sure that 950 gold is there so that he can pick up the tier 1 item, which is really strong at the moment. Adagio going to get stunned up, and the Valkyrie comes down and is actually silencing up the Finn, so that would have been a stun. But now Spitfire's taking a bit of damage. Tezza Boy's going very low, but he's not going to fall. Now they're going to siege down this tier 1 turret. Tezza Boy almost going to go down. Polite Company wasn't quite needed, but he does not fall. The Bangarang is available for Shingy if it's wanted, and Valkyrie is on cooldown. The Divine Aurora could be in a bad position. They are going to back off. Kestrel needs to farm, needs to shop for that Soil Blade. Finn has got Fountain, and Catherine has got it, but has not used it. Now Spaghetti could be in a bit of trouble. Stun. Where's the root from Rhyme? He does land it in the end. Spaghetti's going to fall. No question. Kestrel with the last hit. And Adagio back to base picks up his own Soil Blade. Kestrel actually didn't manage to shop. So 2,500 gold is on the on-seed. Jump from Ozo. He's not going to get stunned out of it. Will he get stunned on the active camo? Yes, he will. Play Company to give Shingy alive. That Fountain doing so much work with the Carney Luck perk from Ozo. Now Tesla Boy is going to be taking the rest of the damage. Adagio is back though, so Divine Auras know they're going to back off. Kestrel's been spotted out by the Bangarang. There's a scout trap. Kestrel being jumped on. Will it do enough damage? Ozo not doing enough, but the quibble from Finn comes through. Leonsi with 2,800 gold. Bit greedy to go down to shot, but that scout trap doing so much work.
Yep, I really wanted to say earlier on that Spaghetti's positioning when the side of Diva were pushing into the turret was very, very well placed. That way he can poke, get everyone low, and with that,
Valkyrie, massive stun, well played from Spitfire, gets the basic, gets the Winter Spire, gets the root. Now Tesla Boy will be the next double for Spitfire. He's 3-0. The tier 1 turret went down for Divine Aurora, but they will get returned with their own. No question. Shingy's not going to be able to defend this. I doubt he's even going to try. Yeah, too much damage from this Kestrel. Rhyme with the CC. And I think Neonc must know that there's a scout trap around here because he got swatted out by the Bangarang when he was invisible, but he's not going to decide to pop it. Just thinking that maybe there was a flare, so he doesn't quite get that. And yeah, Shingy's got the aftershock, so that's a really nice power spike. Spitfire doesn't have an aftershock, so that's not as nice a power spike for him, but has got tier 2 boots and tier 2 defense.
Yep, and like mentioned earlier on, I really want to say that Spaghetti really held his position well and could put out so much damage onto the side of Divine Aurora when they were trying to push, so much so that they had the opportunity to go in for a return turret, in which the side of Renegades actually did. But what happened then was Spaghetti, or the vision control coming out from Renegades in this at this point in time, really lacking. Margin and gang, really the entirety of Diva could just come in easily for a gank, and oblivious to Spaghetti, he just goes down almost immediately. The burst coming out from Rhyme, the stun, the roots, and everything just paired up together. A wombo combo, if I must say, just immediately can delete anyone coming out from the side of Renegades.
Divine Aurora double infusing, one on Margin, one on Neonc. Tesla Boy going to use the Plight Company and the boots to try and run away from Margin. Going to reflect a bit of that damage back. This could be a gold mine. Started up by Divine Aurora to probably just debate a fight. They know they're ahead. They're infused on Kestrel and on Margin for some reason. He's got his blast ram available. Is it going to come down for the Finn? Is going to put them in, but he doesn't really get a blast ram. It does come down, and it is not blocked by anyone. Ozo not in a great position, but so is Neonc. Going to get Glimmer shot down. There's the Bangarang. He doesn't know where Kestrel is because he went active camo in the trap. Shingy going to fall to the Kestrel. Now the fountain was used by Margin and by Tesla Boy, but it was not enough for Tesla Boy on Renegade. He's going to go low himself. He will play company, but will not be enough. Kestrel gets another double kill, and this will be an easy gold mine. Margin so low, he'll be able to just spot out when Adagio is there. Basic attack from Adagio. Kestrel going to go in. Margin so low, but Kestrel gets the delayed ace, and this actually so well played from Spaghetti stops the gold mine from Divine Aurora. So that's really, even though he died, that's more than worth it.
That is more than worth it, but what's more worth it, it's for the side of Divine Aurora, currently sitting at 20.9k gold as compared to Renegade 17.9, and with that gold lead in mind, it is not quite a large gold lead for any teams who actually have 10 minutes in, but what we are seeing here is Divine Aurora definitely finding their footing up against Renegades. I mean, just looking at point standing itself, we do see Divine Aurora at 1 point and Renegades top of charts of 22, but the performance coming out from Divine Aurora now is just immense. I mean, they are playing tremendously.
Yeah, we did say that we expected Divine Aurora to have the better draft, and if they executed it properly, then I said it'd be pretty easy for them to pull off their combos and win the game. But that was the problem. That was the question. Could they execute? Goldmine can be started up, secured by the Kestrel with the gun shot. Now Dajo going to get stunned up. Double stun. No, was blocked by the Valkyrie, but that means the blast hammer cannot be blocked, and it will silence up Spaghetti. Jingy going to go take a lot of damage from Spitfire. Jumping around, but Kestrel gets the kill. Now Tesla Boy's the next target. He's going to be stunned up. And now Spaghetti's last man standing might be able to get Margin. No! The fountain's still there. Margin will be fine. Yonsei going to push this wave under turret, wait for some glimmer shots, and just siege this turret down. Margin looking for a stun. Will he get it onto the Dajo? Not quite in time, but that still means they're going to get the turret. And that is another nice gold lead up to about 6k for Divine Aurora.
Yep, and I do understand where Divine Aurora is coming from, or rather the side of Renegades are coming from when they actually ran with the Dajo, Ozo, and the Finn pickup. You know, you have that fortified hell coming up from Finn, just effectively extend and increasing your effective HP, if that makes sense, because of the extra shield and extra armor you get from Finn's, or rather the fortified health coming up from Polite Company. And with Chingy as well, can just be very much like a distraction in the front lines for Spaghetti to just put out basic damage after one and the other and just burn the entirety of Divine Aurora down. But their team comp is just not working such, because you have Margin that can go in, stun out Spaghetti, and they are generally just fighting in very, very close quarters and definitely into the win conditions, the play conditions for Divine Aurora. Had they just fought in lane, right? If they pick the battles in lane, then you have bigger space for Spaghetti to just reposition himself, move around. But as we know, Spaghetti, or rather Adagio, is one of those heroes that do not quite have the mobility of other weapon carries per se, like that of Vox or Gwen or Ringo.
Yeah, I think that Adagio could be stuck in a really awkward position. As soon as Spitfire gets on top of him, he's basically dead unless Finn can do some magic with Forced Accord. And he's going to try that magic on the gold mine, most certainly. Nope, not going to be able to get there in time. Nice stun from Catherine, silencing up the Finn, so he couldn't use any abilities. Polite Company try and get a bit of barrier onto Renegade. Block on the Forced Accord, but the minions can't block it, so they're going to go over the wall. And Divine Aurora's looking to go in. Catherine's going to get Waterheads next up. So Waterheads has way more health now. Has the same health as Crucible, so that really will help Margin be so much more tanky. And with 22 Captain of the Guard stacks, I thought they were going to back off, but not quite. They're going to go in a bit more aggressive. Catherine stunning up. Spaghetti going to be blocked up. That means the root cannot with Spitfire, but there's a stun from the Finn. He's never late. That's a quibble. That's a stun. Shingy going to go in. Lots of damage on Spitfire with that offshot. 700 burst onto Spaghetti's Adagio. Shingy could be in a bad position. Going to try and run away from the Kestrel. That's not where you want to be. You want to be diving in on Kestrel. But Shingy's getting so much healing. He's still really healthy, but now he's going to go quite low. Fountain's not up. He hasn't got any Eve of Harvest for himself. And the one shot is available. Is Kestrel going to try it on anyone? Not yet. Just going to take this tier 3 turret for Divine Aurora. They're in such a good position.
They are currently sitting at 32.9k gold as compared to Renegades 24.8. So that is about a close to 9k difference between both of these teams. Of course, in favor of Divine Aurora, and they are definitely looking very, very strong. And as you mentioned in draft itself, and I was actually surprised, to be honest. I initially thought that Renegades was on the red side and we have Divine Aurora on the blue side, and thus it explains the draft coming out. But I guess Renegades definitely have practice with this draft, but just did not quite put Rhyme into considerations. I mean, Rhyme is just so strong in the current patch, has always been strong in a lot of the patches. It's just that he hasn't quite seen a lot of plays, and people is just starting to just pick him up because of the changes. Overall, the fortified health now is just so valuable for every hero, and thus you see a Finn being prioritized over a lot of other Romans as well. So they are now going on to the gold mine yet again, just pushing their gold lead even further, probably hitting the 10k mark, and it's quite rarely seen. It is not, commonly seen for any team, especially teams that are seated, not seated so low, but so low in the brackets, the point standings, to actually have that close to 10k lead against Renegades. But I will not count Renegades just out yet. They have got potential to come back from this game, but it is just down to positioning. Yep,
they're going to have to come back pretty soon. This Kraken with 20% less health when you're trying to capture it will be taken down so quickly. No glimmer shots have even been used. They're going to go in. That's the time to engage. Spaghetti's taking a lot of poke. Shingy gets the back line. Going to get stunned up. And there's the bang on to the Rhyme. But Rhyme's already got the kill onto Adagio. Kestrel gets the kill onto Ozo. Tesla Boy's last man standing. And Spitfire wants the Kraken. Double stun's not going to be enough. Double for Kestrel. Kraken for Divine Aurora. And they can't quite win, but I guess Renegade have got one last stand to try and defend this Kraken, or else that will be game one.
This is so similar to yesterday's game between Misfit and actually SKT. I'm not sure if they actually do follow the other MOBA, but it was quite an interesting match. Misfit is one of the underdogs, as very similar to what we are seeing here. Divine Aurora definitely one of the underdogs coming in against Renegades, one of the big teams. In fact, the top 3 teams currently in Southeast Asia. I don't want to say that Elite 8 is not one of the top 3 teams, but they haven't quite fared well in this past 2 splits or this season. At least Chingy definitely looking for the banger rank, trying to just catch Neon C on that Castro out. Once again, Foster caught, blocked out.
Yeah, Force scored, nice block, no echo for the Finn, but he's going to go with the Quibble. Does get a double stun, Chingy going into the backline, has got the aftershock, has got Dragon's Eye, there's the Bangarang, blocked up by Neoncy. Chingy's just diving in, there's the 3-ring circus, second proc, not going to be used, but he will get the shutdown onto Kestrel. This could be the turnaround. Spaghetti's now no longer Atlas. Will he be able to get away from Spitfire? No, that's a lovely move and a stun. Spitfire's going to get the kill, and now what will Chingy be able to do? The Kraken's bearing down on the turrets. Chingy is full of health. Spitfire's running out of energy, and so is Chingy, so who's going to be the one to break first? Will it be the base or will it be Divine Aurora? Tesla Boy's going quite low. Spitfire's had enough of fighting. He's going to take down the Vayne. Divine Auroras take game 1.
Wow, what an upset. I don't want to say it's a turnaround, but it is turnaround in terms of point standings. Divine Aurora definitely won the game at draft, right? We saw it, we say it, and you said it yourself. Ozo against Rhyme, it's just so easy for Rhyme to just play against Ozo, and Ozo really did not quite stand a chance in the entirety of the match. There is one fight, however, and that is the last fight that's ended, before it ended the game. Had Ozo really just catch that of Neon C out quicker, sooner in that fight, and it would have worked out pretty well for Renegades, but it just didn't happen. Spaghetti was the first to fall, and afterwards, Ozo on Chingy on that, Ozo just didn't have the damage to burst anyone down. Not Spitfire, at least. I mean, the amount of fortified health he's getting from those basic attacks, from those Winter Spires, and the very right and correct usage of the Valkyrie was just definitely a game changer for the side of Divine Aurora.
Yeah, I think the main problem was that Ozo was a bit too scared to dive in onto Kestrel as hard as maybe he could have. Because the problem with having an Adagio-Finn combination is that Adagio and Finn are so slow and just completely unable to keep up with anyone who has any kind of mobility. So once Ozo jumps in onto Kestrel, Kestrel just boots away, active camo, tries to run from Ozo, and suddenly Ozo is miles away from the rest of his team, and is now Ozo can't kill Kestrel, has to back towards the team, and then of course you're going to take 3 damage, you don't have fortified health, you're going to take glimmer shots to the face, and that's just not a winning fight for Renegade. They had to either just go all in on Kestrel, as you saw in the last fight when Ozo just kept going. It was really easy to kill Kestrel. I think Ozo had to do that a lot earlier in the game than they could have won, but I definitely agree. Divine Aurora pretty much won that in draft. I said if they could execute properly, they had a pretty easy win condition, and they did. They executed really well. They would just keep Kestrel alive, and they would be the ones engaging. They wouldn't let Ozo engage on Kestrel. They would just go onto Adagio straight away. So I'm interested to see how Renegade are going to do this second draft. If they're going to go for maybe the same Finn first pick, or maybe they want something with a bit more mobility to try and keep up with Xingyi. And draft is ready. So without further ado, let's head on into the draft.
Well, with your point, whether or not they will pick up the first pick, or rather not a Finn, but someone with higher mobility, like I said earlier on, I kind of do understand where Renegades is coming from when they are trying out, with this particular team comp. You have Ozo in the front line being a total distraction, and then you just have Spaghetti to just poke from the back. But the issue with Adagio as hero is really you need to snowball. But snowballing against a Kestrel, it is quite a tough job. Renegades definitely, if any team were to do it, it would definitely be Renegades, but it just wasn't done in that particular game. So coming into this draft, we do see Renegades now on the blue side. Divine Aurora now on the blue side, and Renegades now on the side of red. First ban coming through, we have Black Feather and Lyra.
Divine Aurora do not want to play against that Black Feather, and they clearly don't want to play it themselves. First ban is completely fine. We've seen the same first bans from both teams. That's just a priority of they don't want to play against it, so might as well ban it away in both games. Divine Aurora, if I was them, just once again pick up the Kestrel. No reason not to do the same draft as last game if it worked before. Why won't it work again? Obviously, you can't pick the Rhyme on A side expecting them to last pick Ozo, because they just won't. They'll pick something like a Sky, or maybe a Samuel or a Scarf, something with a lot of range against Rhyme as opposed to Ozo. But, start off the same, maybe pick up a more flexible jungler depending on what carry they decide to pick. Now, Renegade, as I said, in a slightly odd position because their draft strategy is let's pick Finn first, but they lost that game. So now they have to try and change it, maybe pick up the Catherine just to counter Kestrel. But of course, Lance, Grace still open as captains, and they could play Captain Adagio as well. I think the smart pick is to pick Catherine now, then think about what comp they want to do and ban away something that counters it.
Well, they will go for the Arden. Probably banning out Catherine now would be a good choice since Renegades, or rather the side of Divine Aurora, actually just picked up their carry first. So they played very well. Margin played very well on that Catherine. And they could just easily ban the Catherine out, just depriving that side of the Catherine. If not, then actually ban out, say, that Rhyme, if they do not want to go up against a Rhyme, if they are going to pick up that Reza. We've been talking about Reza in the off-stream. And I personally think Reza just does it very well against that of Kestrel in the early game because you don't usually want to build Storm Crown anymore on Reza. Right? Yeah. So with the Reza pickup, you can just ban out that of Rhyme, go on for your early game, pressure the lane, pressure Kestrel out of late lane, then you will have an easier time overall into the mid and the late game.
Yeah, I definitely think Reza is a really strong pick this patch. I've seen a lot of play. I personally love to play Reza. It's so fun just to build an aftershock, burst people down with your troublemaker. But maybe it's not as high a priority in the competitive games. I definitely agree though. Reza is so good against Kestrel because you have tons of gap closers. You have 2 charges on your B, plus then your ult, and your B will probably be back up again in a team fight if Kestrel decides to run away. So that's really it's so easy to just dive on Kestrel and kill her, especially early to mid game when she hasn't got instant active camo. Maybe it's not something that the players have practiced. Obviously, Reza was not very good up until this patch, so it's definitely not a hero that's been practiced. And a Rhyme ban, I don't think that's necessarily just a counter ban away from Divine Aurora, because we've seen Rhyme being banned away second ban quite a lot. But maybe it's partially thinking, yeah, we probably want to go melee jungler. Let's just ban away their Rhyme. And in response, once again, Divine Aurora just banned Rona.
Yep. Very similar drafting coming out from Divine Aurora. I mean, if it's not broken, why fix it? So the Rhyme, I definitely call the Rhyme ban if they are going to go for a very high, melee or just assassin comp. Like you mentioned earlier on, assassins are so very strong in 2.9.1. And with the rise of Reza, right? I keep constantly go back on to Reza because I just think that Reza is a very strong hero now. But what the side of Renegades can actually opt for as a laner, I don't know. I mean, there are a couple of laners. I mean, Adagio definitely did not work well then. They can go for Baron against a Kestrel in that early game. Not in the early game, but in the mid-late game, you would kind of have, more burst as compared to Kestrel with the buff made to Baron. Although you did mention before, with the health being changed as well, generally Baron just do not work quite well. But with the crit builds coming in, maybe it will work. But they are yet again settling for that Adagio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got to see a different draft from Divine Aurora this time because they have not got Rhyme to pick. But I wouldn't be surprised if they go for their same Catherine as a captain. Catherine's good against Adagio in lane. You know it's going to be a lane Adagio. Instead, they're going to go Baptiste and Catherine. So Divine Aurora going back a couple of patches, in fact, probably 3 or 4 patches, going for the Cath Baptiste comp. And the reason why it hasn't been played that much is because it's countered by poke, by someone like a Scarf or a Celeste. Well, Scarf and Celeste are not very strong in the meta. We've seen last patch they were first pick, second pick. The mages was so important, especially to teams in Southeast Asia. Now they're just being completely let through the draft. Rhyme's more important, Oza's more important, and Baptiste is a fantastic counter to all of the assassins that Renegade probably wanted to pick against Kestrel. You want to pick Reza, you want to pick Ozo, Koshka, Taka. Baptiste does fantastic against all of them because they need mobility, they need dive. Baptiste counters that, and if he can outpoke them, then it's pretty easy. So I really like what Divine Aurora have done. I'm interested what Renegade are going to last pick because they can't go for anything like Rhyme or Rona that might do quite well in a 1v1 against Baptiste. The Fortress has actually been the last pick, I'm being told. So that's a counter to Kestrel. I don't really like that from Renegade because I feel Fortress is not very good in terms, especially carry. He got nerfs to his carry position in the 2.9, and also with the health changes, he's just doesn't seem as effective. His mortal wound doesn't do as much. His bleed doesn't do as much. So it's going to be really interesting for Renegade to try and win this game. I still put my money on Divine Aurora in terms of draft.
I'm only afraid of what Renegades will bring up, because I mentioned before I casted for Game Start, Southeast Asia Mobile Major. It was between then Infamous going up against Impunity, and in one of the games they were very resistant. They were not resistant, but they were more of I can't quite bring up the word at this point in time, but they were just constantly picking on this Fortress, and what I'm afraid of really is they just going to run protect the carry comp, and that will mean that the amount of damage coming out from Renegades will just not be as much as resilient. Thank you, I request a duo for that.
That's the word.
Yeah. And I'm just afraid they will run the semi-tank or an off-tank Fortress with an Ardent to just try protect Adagio. We can definitely see how they will run this Fortress by their rotations, because I've seen them doing it before. And what the Fortress generally will build would be that Aftershock into that Dragon's Eye or Spellfire, something along those lines. If not, then Aftershock, then just settle for a lot of defense items, which means we might just see two Fountains and two Crucibles coming out from the side of Renegades. And if that's the case, then I personally don't like it at all, because it is just so difficult to play against play with that comp, because Adagio just lacked the damage as compared to that of Castro.
Yeah, I think that definitely could be the way to go. Shingy looks like he's going to get a Storm Crown on the Fortress, so a Storm Guard banner at least. But maybe not going for the full Storm Crown, maybe just going for Aftershock first, as you said. We've seen Divine Aurora haven't built an Aftershock, and they're not going to on Batiste, most likely. So despite what everyone else seems to think that Aftershock is one of the best items this patch, Divine Aurora is going for no. We're just going to go with standard Shatterglasses and Kestrel, basically. They want to first pick Kestrel, thinking it's that strong. Margin is not able. Spitfire actually secures the last hit on the Elder. Another good aggressive rotation from Divine Aurora. Another good rotation from Renegade. They're going, okay, you take our mid camp, we're going to go push the wave, force Kestrel to come up, and force Batiste to miss his jungle camps and kind of delay his rotation quite a lot. But yeah, they're going to back off now, so Nyansi able to farm up. One thing I want to point out is the tank Fortress build, where you maybe get a second Crucible, actually got slightly nerfed this patch indirectly, because Crucible is now much less effective in terms of defense than it was before. Every other defensive item gives you more effective hit points. Thanks. Shout out to Physics for doing this on Twitter and telling me all of this information. But as well as Viziox, they both did it. And so now Crucible actually gives you, I think it's 7% less effective hit points. So Crucible is worse this patch, and if Fortress wants to build that against the Echo Catherine, he won't be as tanky, won't be able to kite for Spaghetti as long.
Yep, I'm just afraid they will go that route, because like I mentioned, that route do not have enough damage whatsoever. The damage is lacking in that particular route, and it just doesn't work as well anymore. But Renegades this time able to secure that Elder Treant away from Divine Aurora, although Divine Aurora just did try to steal. But looking over at CS from Neon C, we do see 18 CS. As for Spaghetti, clearing this wave out would probably give him, say, 15, 16 CS if he missed none of them, which I don't think he'll miss. And there you go, 17 CS. So overall, CS-wise, it's kind of even. But Chingy versus Batiste at 15 CS, and then we have Chingy at 10 CS. Chingy do not have the fastest clear, which means it will hinder the rotations coming out from Renegades into lane to try to put pressure. And this was what we were talking about. In order for your Adagio to kind of just run over your enemies in the early game, in the mid game, into the late game, you really need the consistent pressure coming up from your teams. If not, then yourself. But Adagio going
pressure. Adagio could be in a bit of trouble here. There is the Ordained from Batiste. Not going to be enough damage though. Spitfire just bursting down, and yeah, Nyansi's farming so well. So it's really trouble for Spaghetti to try and apply any kind of pressure. One thing I want to point out is Nyansi in both games picked up an energy battery on Kestrel. Noticed it in the first game and thought, okay, yeah, fair enough. He wants to work on his energy sustain. But generally on Kestrel, you tend to think if you need to buy an energy battery, you're not playing Kestrel properly, because you should keep your adrenaline stacks up and not need an energy battery. But Neoncy just going, no, I need it. I need to keep this energy up. I want to be constantly able to glimmer shot, constantly able to active camo, and not worry about my adrenaline stack. So what do you think of that idea? Do you think it works, or maybe it's not great because he could have picked up a Solar Blade almost if he didn't buy the energy battery?
Yep, true. I mean, we saw it in both games, and that is 300 gold that you will generally just toss away in the late game, in the mid game, late game, when you need to open up slots for your other items. But I mean, look at the aggression coming out from Neoncy on this Castro. It makes full sense. It makes total sense for the energy battery being picked up on her in the early part of the game, just so she can just put out so much more glimmer shots, have got more energies for gank and skirmishes if it do happen. Once again, we do see Divine Aurora pushing the wave into the turret and just applying so much poke onto all three members of Renegades.
Yeah, trying to push this wave up, trying to stop that weapon Adagio from having any kind of early game power. Just making sure that he's forced to back off on the turret, maybe lose a couple of minions. Neoncy on 50 CS is farming like a beast this game. There's the Ordained. We put onto Shingy. Going to stick inside that though. Spitfire not doing that much work actually, only with the heavy prism and crystal bit for damage. Is going to be easily tanked up by Shingy with that tier 1 light shield. Now Neoncy going to be burned up by Adagio. Margin wants another stack. We'll get it. Vanguard keeps Spaghetti alive, away from any glimmer shots from Kestrel. Neoncy's going to farm up, port home, get himself a Solar Blade. Maybe rotate down to Jungle Shop. And Fortress, as you said, has such slow farm clear that he's forced to go back to the backs just to clear them out in time, whereas Batiste and Kestrel are going to clear their backs almost instantly.
Yep, and we see now Chingy just do not quite have the damage just yet. He wants to actually just complete that Aftershock first before he puts out any decent form of damage. And like you mentioned, Aftershock works very well because if you have high health, it bursts you down. If you have low health, it still bursts you down. So Aftershock definitely a good pickup for Chingy, but we do see that Storm Crown being completed first, and not the Aftershock, which we were just constantly harping and talking about. And I personally think Batiste do so well against Chingy on this Fortress. Once again, Merciless Pursuit goes in.
Yeah, we see Divine Aurora, once again, being the aggressors with Catherine. You can't be aggressive with Arden until you have your Gauntlet. Blood for Blood just isn't a fight-opening tool. Fortress can, with his Truth of the Tooth, he can go in, give you a speed boost, protect contact, use there's his attack at the back. From Fortress, that's definitely an engaged tool. Shingy going to jump through that Ordained. It does run out before Shingy actually jumps through it, and just a waste of the attack of the pack, really. Nice damage from Batiste on Spaghetti. He'll heal himself up there with a Gift of Fire pretty soon. And that was really it. Attack of the pack on cooldown for 50 seconds. Everything is up for Divine Aurora, except from the blast number from Catherine, only 6 minutes in. Fearsome Shade is used. Spaghetti not going to be hit up by that, but is going to be hit by the Ordained Wall. Neoncy trying to seize this tier 1 turret, but unable to get the basic attack portion of the Glimmer Shot down. The triple scout trap there from Tesla Boy, bit OP. Now Divine Aurora's looking to just rotate through the jungle. I don't think they'll take the gold mine because they know Renegade will be there to try and contest it.
Yep, and Chingy is sitting at 33 CS as compared to Batiste. So very good rotations coming out from it. Renegades actually to just deprive Spitfire on this Batiste of farm. I mean, they are constantly forced to come back up into lane to try to siege his turret, if not try to put pressure against Spaghetti even before Chingy does. Chingy has now 35 CS as compared to Spitfire, although they are definitely doing better, the side of Diva, in with regards to
the Gauntlet, standing out Kestrel, but gets the extra camo check down in time. Shingy, stunned up by the Ordained, stunned up by the active camo. Nice CC chain from. And there's Spitfire doing a lot of damage on Shingy, but not too much. He hasn't got anything for a few seconds till he gets those Reap Soul Fragments back. And now Spitfire's ready for a bit of damage. Versus Judgment to try and clear the wave. But we'll do a little bit of damage, but not that much. There's the Blast Hammer coming down and the Fearsome Shade. Combo chain. Will this be a tier 1 turret? Not quite. They're going to go in. Renegade wanted to go aggressive onto Spitfire. He's going to heal up a little bit. Nice damage on Shingy. One more Glimmer Shot will be enough. One shot, one kill is available. Is he going to try and sneak it? Yes, he will. It will hit Dasha, but there's a lovely Vanguard to keep Dasha alive. It does walk into the Ordained Wall, but it won't do enough damage to secure the kill. Now Divine Aurora will easily get this tier 1 turret. Spaghetti is not going to try and defend that by himself.
Yep, and Divine Aurora now looking very similar to that of first game, definitely looking very, very strong coming into this game as well. And currently they are sitting at about 1,000 gold ahead of Renegades. Not a lot of gold, to be completely honest. 8 minutes in, we saw better coming out from Infamous, but now definitely Divine Aurora can go back into farming the jungle, which they've left open for so long. They've left, vacant for so long. They haven't quite returned to it yet. And, Renegades definitely still have got this, right? I constantly say that, and I know I sound like a broken record at this point in time, that I personally think that Renegades have got this. As long as Chingy completes that Aftershock, which he is about 7 gold, 2 gold away from it, and he will pick up the Aftershock right now, and this will grant him a burst of energy, a burst of damage. But would that burst actually be enough, Minimiter? It's another question altogether, because we see so much poke coming out from the side of Divine Aurora.
Yep, you could probably say that Spitfire is going to have a lot more burst with the empowered bad mojo, especially with Clockwork's not completed, so he'll only get 1 bad mojo in each empowerment. Adagio has got 2 tier 3 items, Soul Blade and Tornado Trigger completed. This isn't a bad time for Renegade to fight. They're not that far behind. They're only 1,500 gold. The items are almost dead even. In fact, Fortress has got 2, whereas Batista's only got 1. This is a good time for Renegade to fight. Let's attack the back, Blast Hammer and Fearsome Shade. But Fortress with the basic attack steals the gold. My god, it's going to come down trap. All 3 members of Divine Aurora in. Kestrel now outside the gauntlet. Batista is empowered. Lots of damage on Shingy though with the Glimmer shots. But that will be Adagio picking up the kill onto Spitfire. The turnaround for Renegade is real. Leonzi trying to run away towards his sentry. Now he's going to turn, do as much damage as he can on Tezza Boy. Glimmer shots coming through. Fountain use Shingy jumping over the wall. Leonzi's waiting for those Glimmer shots to come back. Going to get a lot of damage on Tezza Boy. Will he be able to get the kill? Yes, he will. There's 1. Will he get 2? Yes, he will. Will he get 3?
Oh!
1 shot. No, the burn and the bleed gets the kill. Kestrel almost with the 1v3 plays. Catherine's going to try and kill Spaghetti, but that's not going to happen. Spaghetti can probably turn around once the Storm God is down. No, he's not going to try. Catherine may be able to get this. Spaghetti will be able to pick up tier 2 boots and run away though, so he'll be fine. Margin's not going to chase, and what a game. The gold is now dead even after that fight.
Yeah, that fight definitely changed it around, and as mentioned, Spitfire had a lot of opportunities to just go back to farm, but that wasn't the case. Too much pressure was placed in lane, too much emphasis was placed in lane, so much so that Spitfire just couldn't get his items on time. I mean, we are seeing him with 50 CS, as compared to Chingy, which we mentioned, just clears so very slow, but 49 close to 50 CS. So, I mean, the junglers itself, usually the CS count on junglers will just be, looked over. They're not as important as compared to the laners, because laners, what drives them really is the CS. But coming into this game, Divine Aurora would have a better lead if they have a better rotation. And that gold mine there, I would have to agree with you. That gold mine there definitely changed the game, changed the tide for the side of Renegades. Renegades have got the damage now. They have got a poke. They have got a dive as well. And thank God they are not actually settling for tag the carry comp. 1 shot, 1 kills comes out, but will be a little wide, missing Spaghetti by a hair.
Yeah, Spaghetti able to dodge that one out, and it does look like they're going to go for a bit more damage Fortress with defense for himself as opposed to just trying to keep Spaghetti alive. So that is working out quite well. Obviously, Fortress is going to dive onto the unseen. If he can secure the kill, then they'll pretty much win the fight. But you saw the power of Weapon Kestrel come out in force at the end of that fight. Kills Tezza Boy, kills Shingy, almost probably would have gotten Spaghetti if the bleed from Fortress didn't kill him. Because he dodged the burst, the sentry was there. But yeah, so they really need to be careful. They can't just focus Spitfire and kill him and then be happy. They have to go on to Nyonsi, have to make sure that Nyonsi dies. Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty simple fight for Divine Aurora. And I think I've realised what Nyonsi's doing in these games. He's selling his healing flask to have space for this energy battery. Because I've been wondering how he manages to get the slots for energy battery. Because you obviously have boots, you have healing flask, and then you need your items. But he just sells his healing flask much earlier than we see a lot of other people do. Adagio still got his in the lane. Because Nyonsi thinks instead of the burst energy sustain, I'd rather have constant energy sustain. So that does make a bit of sense.
There you go. You telling the viewers, or rather everyone, that Adagio still has his Healing Flask. And there you see Adagio is selling his. Now the all 6 members of both teams now up in lane. They will back off. This might just be the calm before the storm. Gold miner is full and is for the taking. And I wonder, with Chingy and all infusions, or 2 infusions coming out from the side of Divine Aurora, they definitely would stand a good chance taking this gold mine, trying to just make full use of those infusions. And Chingy now still also have infusion that it's popped and is open for usage as well. But yeah, not much aggression coming out, or not much objectives taken coming out from the side, from both teams at least. And I would like to see actually more aggression with these objectives, because the side of Renegades definitely do have this. So if Divine Aurora do force this gold miner out from them, then at least they can just engage upon them. And if Spaghetti or the gang of Renegades just go in and take this gold miner, as we can tell from the rotations coming out from Divine Aurora, they just do not quite have the best macro plays across the board.
Yeah, they're trying to see if they can get some objective control and aggression, but it is not quite working out for them. Leonsi farming up, got that another infusion. There's been so many more infusions picked up by Divine Aurora than by Renegade. They were together, I think there were 4 infusions, 2 on Kestrel, 2 on Batiste picked up before Renegade even picked up 1. So that is quite a bit of gold that was kind of wasted, because in the team fight, the teams were very even. So this slight gold lead for Renegade is much more significant when you look at the items, probably. Because, yeah, Adagio with a full Aegis, Kestrel with only an Oak Heart, and they both have 3 tier 3 items. So that is one important thing to note for Renegade. They are ahead in items despite being only slightly ahead in gold. This could be a good time to fight. Adagio and Arden picking up a few flares, try and catch out this Kestrel. Attack at the back is ready for Shingy. There's the Mercy Pursuit. Start the engage. Dive onto Spitfire. Shingy's just waiting in a block out of the Ordain. There's the Gauntlet going to come down. It's going to be blocked up lovely by the Crucible. No block for the Fearsome Shade. Blast Tremor a little bit wide. Fearsome Shade did connect, so that last Tremor was not needed. But the attack at the back was used. So I guess Divine Aurora is just going for, no, we're not going to be engaged once this Wolves are up. We're going to wait for that cooldown. Only 20 seconds now, though, on the attack of the pack, whereas Blast Tremor for 68 seconds. So this could be, in 20 seconds, good time for Renegade to fight. The Fearsome Shade will be available, but importantly, Gauntlet and Blast Tremor not. So this would change the fight slightly, means everyone can back off a bit easier. Margin taking a bit of poke. We're going to put down a stun. Spaghetti taking a couple of shots and reflect damage from the Catherine. Renegade trying to push this one shot, not going to connect. And now Spitfire has just farmed up, he's back into lane. Still hasn't got his clockwork, can buy it if he does go to shop. But we are currently 15 minutes in, almost 16. And Spitfire only has 1 tier 3 item, which is why Renegade just aren't worried about his damage. Yep,
Spitfire really needs to complete that clockwork, and as I said, he buys that clockwork. But even then, I personally don't think that 1 clockwork will change anything. Granted, you can get off 2 bad mojos now, but
you need 2 clockworks then, is that what you're saying? 1 clockwork's not enough, you need 2. Right. Attack of the pack! They thought they were doing the Kraken, but nope, another 25 seconds for no fight.
Yeah, but this, once again, Renegades and Divine Aurora just at a standstill. They are definitely respecting the amount of damage that both parties can put out, and they are staying, wary of each other. But one of them will definitely have to force a fight. And if you ask me, in terms of engage, definitely Chingy has got the upper hand, and there you go. We see it happening. Chingy buying that Crucible, probably will end up buying a second fountain for the team as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Obviously, really important against Catherine Batiste to have a second Crucible. As I said earlier, it's not as beneficial to Shingy himself. Attack the pack used, but there's a turret for Divine Aurora, so Renegade just going to dive this tier 1 turret. Block, not going to block the Fearsome Shade from Batiste. So that was an interesting play from Renegade. Now they're going to be turned on by Divine Aurora. They know the attack of the pack and the Gauntlet is not available for a little bit. Attack of the back and Fearsome Shade on almost identical cooldowns. Great Crucible onto the active Camera Trap. Leonsi going very low. Will the burn be enough? Not quite. Spitfire going to go down. Blast Tremor did silence that Spaghetti, but it was not enough. Kestrel is going to try and run. Will be able to run in the end. And Renegade going, we don't care about your turret. We're just going to dive onto the Kestrel. Give us a Kraken now, because we managed to pick up Spitfire in the end. So well played.
Yep, I mean, they are pretty tanky with their team comp. They have got an Arden for their Vanguard, and although not a lot of heal, but at least some sort of healing, some sort of sustain coming up from Spaghetti for Chingy. But No Kraken still, just yet.
We're going to try, but that's going to be another block on the active camo trap by Xingyi this time. Tezzaboy did the first one, Xingyi with the second, and Neonsi will be able to survive for now. Fortress does not want to, he does want to dive turret, but he's not going to. The Wolves did despawn, so he's not going to know where Kestrel went. So Spitfire and Neonsi are up to defend this Kraken, but Margin did die trying to defend it, didn't use the fountain on himself, so that's going to be up when he does respawn. This probably will be at least a 3-target Kraken push, but with the increased health of Kraken, we may even see more from Renegade. They could even push for the win with the fact that the old style 5 Kraken push. Let's see what's going to happen. Attack of the pack used, forcing them to back off. Spitfire going to block out the gauntlet. First gauntlet is down. No echo quite yet for Tezzaboy. He can buy it, but hasn't bought it for this fight. So it looks like with the damage from Kestrel and Batiste, only going to be 3 targets off this Kraken unless Renegade are going to go into fight now. Ordained is used, no longer available, and Renegade looking to try and poke this tier 3 turret down. No, he's going to go into Spitfire with a bit of dive from Fortress, and that will be tier 3 turret. That will be backing off. Renegade happy with 3 turrets for 1 Kraken. Definitely a worthwhile trade.
Yep, and the team com definitely starting to just cohesize and just be just so well, just gluing so well and gelling so well together for the side of Renegades. Although we saw in the first game, Divine Aurora definitely very used to a team comp, or rather the team strat that they had. They had Neonsi on the back lines just poking down anyone that's in front, but now at this point in time, Neonsi not quite finishing that bone saw or that, you know, tension bow that he probably wants to get, although tension bow is not at all recommended. But Neonsi just do not quite have the damage anymore as compared to the first fight. So the walls of Renegades is just so thick, it is almost impossible to get onto Spaghetti. And thank God for Spaghetti, and thank God for the entirety of Renegades. They are not fighting in close, enclosed spaces anymore. Instead, they are picking their fights in lane, in, you know, where Jungle Shop is, where it's just more open, where Spaghetti can just drift around the fold and just put out basic damage. Whereas in the previous game itself, they were playing into the battle conditions, the win conditions of Divine Aurora. So a very good change in battling styles, but now Water is being used.
Water's second echo is used, so Crucible's down from Gauntlet is back up for Tezzaboy. And yeah, I agree with you. Divine Aurora now, it's like, okay, we're just going to stay in the jungle, stay in these close quarters where Kestrel shines, where Batiste shines, and Catherine will... Not as good, but yeah, Batiste and Kestrel really able to land their skill shots so much easier and on multiple targets in the jungle. But we've seen whichever team engages the fight probably wins. In both games, we saw Divine Aurora engage with their Catherine against Stargio last game. Now we're seeing Fortress just dive in onto Divine Aurora. It doesn't matter if there's a tier 1 turret there, they're going to jump in, they're going to try and kill you. So it does seem like whichever team decides to be aggressive is likely to come out on top. The Neonsi, as you said, cannot pick up a bone saw, won't pick up a tension bow, I really hope. And Xingyi still working towards that. Probably Fountain, maybe Aegis, but I don't really see the point. I think Fountain, I agree with you, would be much better, because there's not going to be a mortal wound on anyone. Kestrel just doesn't pick up Poison Shiv, and it doesn't look like Margin or Spitfire is going to pick one up, so the double Fountain works just as well, as long as they don't tap it at the same time. That requires a little bit of coordination, but both teams are going to float each other out. Gauntlet is back up. Echo not up for Arden yet, and Margin is nowhere near his own Echo, so good time for Renegade to fight would be in about 40 seconds.
Yep. And I mean, at this point in time, Renegades can just look for a fight. I mean, they have got so much more items. They have got so much damage in terms of items. And Xingyi, as well, as you mentioned, whoever that jumps in first, whoever that finds a fight first, Jet would come out on top. And the low cooldowns of Attack of the Pack is just allowing the entirety of Renegades, and with the mortal wound inflicted as well, just stunning, then just nerfing the healing coming out from the fountain of Majin as well. So Renegades, they can easily just find any team fight right now. It wouldn't quite go as wayward as, you know, maybe if the side of Divine Aurora would find a team fight, but definitely Renegades.
You'll find a team fight. Margin out of position. His team ported home. He's the only one alive. And that's going to be the start of the engage. Fearsome Shake used on the Fortress. And he's going to take a lot of damage. Blast Hammer going to be blocked up. So will the Ordained. So Renegade forced back up. And there's Water from Divine Aurora. They want to go in as well. Tezzaboy has got a defensive gauntlet. Echo is up as well. There's the aggressive gauntlet. Stunned out by the Catherine. Tezzaboy got another gauntlet though. He did echo it. There's it going to come down. And Adagio gets killed with Catherine. Kestrel stuck in the gauntlet wall. Fearsome shaking a fit away Adagio. But it will not be enough. That'll be a double for Spaghetti on this weapon, Adagio. And this will be an easy Kraken unless there is the godly one shot, one steal from Leonsi. I doubt it will be allowed to go through. It'll probably be body blocked. You see all members of Renegade on the right side. Leonsi, he's going to wait. He's going to go for it. No, he's not going to try it. And that is probably game for Renegade unless Divine Aurora can bring out the Kraken defense.
Yep, and this is what I'm talking about. Renegade at this, at this current juncture, can just pick their fights. They can't just go in.
Like this, Leonsi needs to farm to get his bone saw. Will he be able to get back to the base in time? Yes, he will. Picks up the bone saw, but Renegade don't care. They're going to go for the turret. They don't need Kraken. When there's only one member left, Kestrel able to reset that boots cooldown with one glimmer shot, but does not have his team. So that means it's only a one turret Kraken push. One shot does hit on Spaghetti. Kestrel some adrenaline stacks, looking to try and get as much poke onto this Kraken as they can. But Divine Auroras need to fight. They can't just take the Kraken down. It will get the turret with no problem. They're doing as much damage as they can. But they need to, as soon as Renegade want to engage, they need to just go on as hard as they can. There's the stun, and they're kind of in close quarters. There's a base wall at the top, but that is going to be so much damage. Spitfire goes down straight away. That's not what Divine Auroras wanted. Renegade get the turret. Adagio's onto the vein. So's the Kraken, half health, and that will be game 2, going to Renegade, taking the series 1-1.
GG, very well played coming out from both sides. And what happened really that turned everything around was Chingy just had a much better rotation as compared to Spitfire on that Batiste. And on top of that as well, Chingy completed the one big item spike that we've been going on and on and on about, since the start of stream, and that would be the Aftershock. So overall, definitely well played coming out from Renegades, and that Aftershock picked up by Chingy definitely changed the game around. Although I would have favored it if Chingy actually picked up the Aftershock first, and that way you can have Spaghetti just going into your jungle just to try hyper farming, get extra EXP, extra gold for both Spaghetti and Chingy, so Chingy don't have to quite have the Storm Crown. But I don't know, maybe it will not work out that way since we saw so much lane pressure coming out from Divine Aurora as well. But overall, very well played to both of these teams.
Yeah, I think that the Storm Crown first is okay because, as you said, they wanted to farm up evenly. They wanted Batiste and Fortress to be even on farm, even on clear speed. And so by picking up Storm Crown, you really increase that clear speed so much more, so that Fortress could be as fast as Batiste was, meaning that they could do that lane pressure without losing out in jungle too much. So yeah, well played, well built in the end by Renegade, and we are going to watch the third game. So really excited to see what these teams are going to go for, what they're going to prioritize. We've seen B-side win both games so far. Maybe we're going to see that trend continue, and Divine Aurora will end up taking it. But perhaps Renegade are going to go for this Fortress comp again. As you said, so resilient on taking Fortress. They will just take it and win, and they'll be happy. And so maybe we're just going to see that priority ban, maybe Renegade, but maybe even a priority pick. So a priority pick for Renegade, unless Divine Aurora decide to ban it. But in which case, they leave Blackfeather open. And we know Renegade don't want to play against the Blackfeather.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Renegades actually training a week or a couple of weeks back, and they were constantly, for every game they were in, just constantly insta-locking that Fortress. It's definitely working out for them, as we can tell. We're very, very shaky in the early game. But let's see if they will actually pick up this Fortress as we head on straight into draft.
So we are now into the draw for the final game between Renegade and Divine Aurora. Winner takes all. Winner will go through to tomorrow's semi-finals. And obviously Renegade, under a bit of pressure, top of the table. They really need to win this, or else there'll be some real questions as to how they got to the top of the table last season if they can't get through day one against a really much lower seeded team. But to be fair to Divine Aurora, they have played so well.
Yep, Divine Aurora now Renegades now as a team that we are mentioning now on the blue side, and we have Divine Aurora on the red side. And I mean, if there is any upset that will be caused, it might just be this game. Divine Aurora just played so well in that first game, and it's quite surprising of a performance coming out from Divine Aurora for the first phase of bans coming out from Renegades. We do see that Blackfeather once again taken out of the hero rosters.
I am going to call that we're going to see a live ban. We're going to see a very similar draft to the first game, because these teams they like to stay pretty similar. I think the bans will probably just be swapped over. No, we're going to see an Arden ban. So for the first time, Lyra let through this draft. could be first picked. It wouldn't be a bad idea for Renegade. Divine Aurora will just pick Kestrel if it's left open. We know they love to do it. They played well. Neoncy played really well on Kestrel despite losing that game. So I think it wouldn't be a bad idea just to pick it up first if it's let through, which it most likely will be. Probably going to be a Lyra pick unless Renegade have got something special like the Fortress again. If they're going to first pick it, that would be a really risky call because I think Divine Aurora would just not pick Kestrel. Then Fortress is a bit worse, isn't that good at diving in. The attack of the pack isn't as useful as compared to against Kestrel. So really thinking about what they want to pick. They didn't expect Lyra to be let through, so now they're thinking, do we want to pick it or do we want to give it over to Divine Aurora? No, they're going to pick the Kestrel for themselves. Renegade deciding that, no, Neoncy, we want to play Kestrel and Tesla Boy. Or Spaghetti, sorry.
They want to play Kestrel this time round in this third match between Renegades and Divine Aurora, and it's just down to what Divine Aurora can pick up. They generally want to pick up that Black Feather for themselves. That has been quite the pattern for Neoncy on that hero, because let us be honest right now, Mini, there's not much weapon carries in lane that is quite meta, unless of course you count in Jewel, which is, I personally think, a very niche pick. But Divine Aurora settling for the Fortress for themselves.
We have got Renegade on A side, and definitely because this draft just feels like Divine Aurora will be on A side because they love Kestrel, Renegade love Fortress, but no, it's just been swapped over. Divine Aurora going, okay, if you're going to play our game, we're going to play your game. We're going to pick up the Fortress, most likely going to be in the jungle position. And now, I don't think Divine Aurora need to ban Catherine or Batiste because they'll just go with the same draft that Renegade went with in the last game and try and execute it the same. This is really interesting. They might go for the Rhyme ban. Rhyme's not great against Fortress, but it still might just to follow up what happened in the last game. That wouldn't be a bad decision. I think Catherine would also be quite a good ban. They're going to ban the Lyra instead, so yeah, they don't want to play it with Fortress. Fortress is actually quite good against Lyra because you have the bleed, but instead of that, they're just going to ban it away.
Yeah, I personally don't quite like the Lyra being banned out, but I guess with the Lyra being banned out, you force the side of Renegade to remove the Rhyme from the table, and there you go, the Rhyme being removed, and the side of Divine Aurora can just easily pick up that Catherine for themselves. We saw them just playing Catherine over and over again, and they just played it so well as well. There is no reason as to not picking up the Catherine. They're just so good on that particular hero. Although I personally, at this point in time, in this current meta, I think Finn is seeing an emergence for a reason, and the fortified health that's provided by Polite Company is just so strong. And yet we are not seeing the Divine Aurora just prioritizing on this Finn or even putting emphasis on this Finn. We are seeing a lot of Lyras and Catherine coming up from Divine Auroras, but and Arden as well in this particular game, but we are not seeing much Finn. And is there a reason why? Is it because of slow, does the speed, or does it not gel well with the other heroes on the fold?
Well, Finn certainly doesn't gel well with Fortress at all. Finn is second slowest hero in the game. One of the quickest.
Hey, opposites attract.
Not necessarily in Vainglory, because Fortress needs to go in, and Finn looks really weird when he's running, and so it just doesn't work well together. Maybe Finn in a different draft, but once they picked the Fortress, it's very unlikely they're going to go with that. It's something Renegade like to play a bit more. I think Divine Aurora are probably going to pick up, either go with that as a captain Fortress, or just pick up their captain now. Maybe last counter pick the carry. No, they're going to pick the Kestrel. No, they are going for hard Kestrel counters. Fortress attack of the pack will follow Kestrel when she's invisible. Petal's minions will follow Kestrel when she's invisible. So, Divine Aurora were clearly expecting this. They were clearly thinking, right, what we want to first pick Kestrel, and if the enemy does first pick Kestrel, we have our counters ready. We have our Fortress, we have our Petal. Probably going to be a weapon Petal in lane. That's what we've seen more of. But it really depends on what the jungler is. If they go for something like a Cruel now in the jungle, obviously that could be a Crystal Petal.
Yep. If Crystal Petal, I'm not... I mean, Weapon Petal can be played in jungle as well. We see that coming out from Branchong. And Sync 1 on the Weapon Petal just plays so well on it. Just very comfortable on it as well. So I'm not surprised if the side of Divine Aurora maybe have scrimmed with Brand Esports and picked up a thing or two from them. And if that's the case, then, Brandy's, or rather not Brandy's Swords, but the side of Divine Aurora can just round the comp up. A very unpopular opinion right here, but with a CP Reza in that of lane. But, that is that.
Yep, that would work really well. I agree. That would be a really good draft for Divine Aurora. But I think what Renegade are going to do here is perhaps even go CP Kestrel with the Finn, and then go for a weapon laner, maybe a weapon Jewel or Glaive. Nope, they're going to go Kestrel Celeste. They're going to go old school, poke comp, Kraken at 15 minutes. And this comp was known for being so quick at taking Kraken at 15 minutes. Now Kraken is 20% easier to take 15 minutes in. So I think if Divine Aurora don't have vision, about 15 minutes, 10 seconds, Kraken will be unleashed for Renegade if they are alive. So against the Celeste, what are you going to do? Obviously Scarf could work, but they're going to go Taka. Really smart. It's similar to Reza. I don't know why SEA aren't going to pick Reza at all, despite how strong I think he is. They're going to go for the Taco instead. So that means a lot of dive onto Kestrel and onto Celeste. Divine Aurora, I think, have got the slight edge, but it's really down to how good this Captain Fortress can be against the Finn.
This is a draft that I'm not quite expecting, because I personally think Reza just does so much better. Because you are basically a walking aftershock, right? For Reza. In the early game, you are kind of walking aftershock, and you will be building onto an aftershock as well. So the amount of burst you have on this Castro, on this Celeste, would just be insane. And with your Netherform Detonator, you can apply Fire Starter onto all three. It basically just both of the carries in general, and can easily just burst them down with the Troublemaker, if not then Scorcher as well. So it quite baffles me as to why, like you mentioned, Southeast Asia is so resistant on this Reza being picked up. But Taka, not quite a bad pick, and with the Mortal Wound as well, you will reduce healing from that fountain that Finn will definitely build, and that fortified health as well. And if you go for that, Shatter Glass into Clockwork, into Dragon's Eye, then maybe you can easily just, flick, snap of a fingers, just burst Kestrel into nothingness, and Celeste into nothingness as well.
So one of the questions I want to ask is, what build do you think Celeste is going to go this patch? Because we saw massive changes to the Crystal Path. We're not going. Well, I hope we're not going to see Frostburn Eve, Clockwork Myth, Frostburn Eve, Clockwork Myth every game. So we're probably going to see something different. Do you think we're going to see a Frostburn against this Taka, or is Shingy just going to go for maybe Shatterglass into Clockwork or Shatterglass into Dragon's Eye? What do you think Shingy might go for?
I think Shatterglass into Clockwork, and the only reason being because with the Dragon's Eye, generally you want to build up stacks. It's very much like Broken Myth, right? You want to stay in fight, you want to build up stacks. But with a Taka and, a Fortress running around on the fold, you just don't quite have that liberty to just be, in the fight for an extended period of time to go all the way up to 9 stacks. So maybe the Aftershock, not Aftershock. Aftershock. Shatterglass into Clockwork will definitely work very, very well in this case going up against Divine Aurora. But that is my opinion. What about you, Minimizer? Are you expecting a Dragon's Eye coming out? Or would you expect the last, popular one, which is a Spellfire, which I've yet to find a footing in this meta?
I think I'm yet to find a use for Spellfire on anyone. I suppose on CP Gwen it can work quite well, similarly with CP Blackfeather, maybe as a 4th item, but I doubt it's going to be played at all on this Celeste, especially given how much burst Taka has. The damage over time just is completely countered by his Kaku. If he goes in Kaku, Spellfire, now pointless, and it won't deal any significant kind of damage. I'm expecting Shingy to go Shatterglass, maybe into Clockwork, maybe into Broken Myth, 3rd item, if Spitfire gets in defense. Tezzaboy going to be forced to boots away, Kaisen over him. Will it be enough damage? Neonsi going to jump in, but there's a healing fast. Neonsi is going way too aggressive for that first blood, and in the end, does fall. Finn just far too tempting under turret. He was 1 HP, but he based him with the healing flask, and Neonsi taking too many turret shots, so I think that was just a slight misplay from Divine Aurora. Just, you saw how tempting Finn was, though.
Yep, I mean, if this was late game and Divine Aurora was just losing out big time, then I would say Divine Aurora was just pure desperate to just make plays. But in this early game, just jumping in, I mean, fine, it is the quickest way back to base. But you don't want to give up first blood to a team like Renegades, like Spaghetti on that Castro. We all know how strong Spaghetti is on range Castro, or range heroes very much like Castro, and even that of Celeste. And you don't really want to give it any way to capitalize on the damage. Spitfire now maybe caught out.
Could be Spaghetti, as you said, doing loads of work on this weapon Kestrel. Petal's still in lane, so that means that Divine Aurora can't go too aggressive. Trian is picked up by Spaghetti in the end. Going to now go to lane to try and pick up as much of his farm as he can. 1 minion, maybe 2 is going to die. No, he's going to get most of that wave. So that's really good for Spaghetti. Able to farm up. He's not going for the energy battery first, and he's quite low on energy. So maybe he could learn a thing or two from Leonti's Kestrel. Go for that early energy battery. Then again, he does want to get as much gold as possible, so he's going to rotate to the jungle, as will Petal. So, yeah, very defensive rotations from both these teams. Just captains in lane. Fortress wants to push the wave under turret, but Tesla is there to try and stop that from happening. Yeah, Spaghetti, I suppose the reason why he hasn't picked up the energy battery is now he can pick up a Solar Blade a bit earlier. And so he guarantees that no matter how much gold he's got, he can go to shop now. So he wouldn't be able to get the Solar Blade without having, if he had an energy battery. So that's why he's going for it. And a 1.5k gold lead already for Renegade.
Yep,
he hasn't been able to shop. Spaghetti has not been able to shop. He has not got the Solar Blade already. Spitfire is going to try and do a bit of damage. So will Margin, and Petal getting hit by the Supernova attacker, able to run away from the core collapse, but cannot run away from basic attacks. Spaghetti's going to go back up to lane. He's had fantastic wave control to keep these minions just pushed on his side all the time. If I was Petal, I'd be so annoyed at Spaghetti because that wave is just not advanced towards Petal at all. Now Kestrel's going to push it as he wants to port home to get as much items because he wants to go down to jungle shop, but it was just completely stopped by Divine Aurora. They rotated quite well to stop that from happening. Wasn't enough though because Pataka did fall in the end. And now Spaghetti does secure the last hit and wants to port home. Yeah, I expect to see probably Solar Blade and an energy battery with some crit items being built because we saw Spaghetti. If he runs out of energy, he's kind of useless. But now we're going to see the weapon infusion instead. So much more aggressive from Spaghetti than what Leonti does.
Yep, and this is what we constantly see coming out from Spaghetti on his Castro. Every single time he has got a Sorrow Blade, he'll always want to buy and put an infusion in his pocket, just so when he needs to push, or just when Chingy actually picks up his own infusion as well. Taka picking Chingy.
Chingy caught out 1 versus 3 basically in the jungle shop. A bit too busy trying to pick up Eve of Harvest as the first item. That I do not like. I'm going to be honest. 1 shot going to be dodged out, but turret is going to go down. Spaghetti in the end does do a nice rotation, but he could be in a lot of trouble. He's going to push the wave. This is risky. If he manages to port home, that'll be worth it. And yeah, they're not going to even try and catch him. He's going to try and go tier 2 turret. He knows that Celeste is in a bad position. Spitfire is there. So Shingy could be caught out. Core Collapse does land onto Fortress, but not on Spitfire. Now Finn is there as well. And Singy able to secure one hit back camp. Will he be able to get the second? No. Spitfire gets that. Express is available. Is Spitfire going to go in? No, he's not. Kestrel also on the other side of the map. He's trying to run away from Leonti. Leonti with those pets knows where Kestrel is. That is going to be a base attack and a glimmer shot. But where is Spaghetti? He's going to be caught out. The active coming on enough. Dragon Ball contract will be dropped by the Taka, and that is a nice skill for Petal. So well played in the end by Divine Aurora. So what do you think about this? And once again, Divine Aurora going to get Tesla just turning this game around, but still not that much gold in their favour. But they're now getting this gold mine. So what do you think about finally this Eve of Harvest pick on Celeste? I don't like it because it gives you 55 crystal power, and Clockwork actually gives you more CP than Eve of Harvest this patch. Storm pretty late.
I would have preferred the Clockwork pickup over the Eve of Harvest, but I guess, extra sustain is sustain overall, and this current meta where the team fights is just so much longer, I guess sustain can be a priority and should be prioritized in RNG's minds, but I'm with you. I don't like the Eve of Harvest being picked up as the first item on any mages. Like you said, 55 crystal power as compared to Clockwork 60, and Clockwork just gives you so much more at the, in the long run. Extra cooldown, extra energy, you can just put out so much more at one time. And with maybe Eve of Harvest would work for say Scarf, right? Because your Spitfire do not stay on the fold. But it splits out, it hits someone, it disappears. Or if you do not hit anybody, it disappears. Whereas for Chingy, the Eve of Harvest is just kind of iffy as an item. You drop a Helio there, you don't pop it, you don't get any healing, you don't get any passive healing coming up from Eve of Harvest. You need to hit someone with it. So that is one thing. You know, maybe Clockwork would have just been such a better pick overall.
Yeah, Spitfire going to go in, going to get a bit of ace attack, but he's in the slightly force scored. Does land on both carries of Divine Aurora. Petal, and there's a chitin over the quibble from Taka, but he's going to try and run away. But he cannot dodge the basic attack. Sentry OP, one basic. Will he get the second? Yes, but it's not enough. Experts onto the minion, and he will try and run away. Kyson, no, he gets rooted. Taka's going to not touch the minion. How is he alive? Spitfire OP, but he will fall to most likely Xingyi as soon as he is spotted out. Petal, meanwhile, on the back line is picking up Kestrel. Spitfire's being caught out. That's all claps. That'll be a stun. That'll be a nice chitin, and will Xingyi be able to get the damage? Not quite. Solar Storm comes through. Yonsei, though, is now diving onto Xingyi. Eve of Harvest wasn't enough for Xingyi to be able to kill Spitfire, but that is a little bit sustained. Coming up from Xingyi now. Attacker's going to try and go onto this Crystal Sentry to take it down. Full collapse does not land. Sentry is going to be taken down. Yes, defeated for the second time. Yonsei now jumping in. Xingyi is going to go down, but now Kestrel's back up already. Yonsei did get the kill, but now that's respawn time as early game. Spaghetti is not going to go in onto the Yonsei. Taka is going to go in onto Xingyi, though. He's going risky. One shot. He's not going to kill. So will the base attack from Celeste. Basic attack OP. And Celeste gets... No, Kestrel gets the kill. Xingyi, in the end, does survive.
Xingyi is just surviving through it all. And I guess you can say and you can argue that Eve of Harvest OP on Celeste.
He would have got the kill 5 minutes ago if Xingyi just put a shatter glass. I'm not taking that argument. Like...
Well, maybe true. They could have just easily ended the fight 5 minutes ago if Celeste has just got extra buzz. But Eve of Harvest provided energy, provided sustain. So hey, I guess it's a good pickup currently. But anyways, the side of Renegades picking up the gold mine for themselves, just extending the gold lead slightly further. And in fact, they had already a gold lead about 1,000, about a couple of minutes ago. So now they are sitting at about still 1,000 gold. I thought it was a 2K earlier on. But I guess you know, Renegades still playing the slow game, just wanting Xingyi to get more items, and Xingyi going for that Broken Myth.
Yeah, Broken Myth does make sense. It's quite a good item in this patch, actually. It gives the 30% shield pierce. Seems OP, but of course you have to remember, shield pierce got changed. It no longer ignores a certain percentage of armor. It decreases, shield. It now decreases shield by that percentage. Doesn't sound like a big change, but it is a massive change when you do the maths behind it. Because true damage is really good, really important, and that's what Broken Myth essentially gave you. Whereas now it means your Aegis has 30% less shield, so it's not as doesn't do as much work as before, but it still is very effective. And Spitfire obviously is going to build an Aegis. It already got the tier 1 shield, so Xingyi going for a slightly different Celeste build this time, not going for the massive damage with the Shattered Glass, maybe a Dragon's Eye. So it's very likely Dragon's Eye will be the third item, because if he doesn't get that, it will just have almost no crystal power, which is really not where you want to be on Celeste. So he's going to probably build that as his third item, because I think the problem with the Eve of Harvest, Broken Myth, Clockwork build is you have all the utility with no damage. Because with that build, you have about the same amount of crystal power as someone with a Shattered Glass and an Infusion. So you're really putting yourself behind in terms of CP just for a little bit more utility. So yeah, I think Dragons are most likely going to be that third item. It's an alright build. I prefer to see damage on Celeste because yeah, Eve of Harvest has like 1/3 of the damage that Shattered Glass does. And 25% of that damage is then healed. We're going to see a little bit of an engage. There's a boy, Polite Company. Goldmine's being started by Spitfire, actually, so his team are going to take a little bit of damage from that. Scout Trap popped by Tezaboy, waiting to see who's going to go in. Spaghetti is not, because he wants to put home to get that second Tyrant's Monocle. It's be about a half full gold mine, about 200 gold, I think. Going to be paid out. I can't quite see, but looks like they're actually going to stop. Divine Aurora don't want to be the ones to take it, and it's just going to reset back to full. And so it was actually 3/4 full in the end, that gold mine, so a little bit more worth it for both teams to take. And Divine Aurora's looked to back off. Petal cannot afford a second Tornado Sugar quite yet. 300 gold away. So yeah, both teams going to back off.
Yep, I'm really liking the build coming up from Spitfire 101 on this Tarkov, that Shattered Glass being picked up, and not quite completing that Storm Crown as well. I mean, you do definitely need an early banner for just the extra clear speed, but you know, with that Shattered Glass, you can just put out so much more damage in the early game against squishies like Xingyi and Spaghetti on their respective heroes. Very mage-like heroes, so your extra, so your Kaizen will definitely hurt a bunch. But the issue, what I'm seeing here right now, is with the changes in health, then Spitfire really needs that aftershock as well, somewhere in the line. If not, then at least that Dragon Eye, just for the extra 180 crystal power on top of the 85 as well. And that way, Spitfire can just put up so much more damage. But now a fight will be
damage. Gonna expect to on to Shingy, but there was a lovely call catch, and a triple quibble, and a solar storm played for side of Renegade, but in the end it's not that much damage being done. A Crucible and the Forced Accord meant that there wasn't as much burst as maybe they wanted. Shingy didn't be dived on. A block from Spitfire this time, and another double quibble by Tezzaboy, playing this spin so well. Neonsi taking a bit of hope from the Kestrel, going to try and put back as much as he can. One shot onto Margin in the end. Attacker trying to sneak if he can. Tezzaboy is quite low, so the Expertsu and Chitin combo will kill him, but he has got a fountain. Is it a bait? Tezzaboy's going low, but they're going to dive onto Kestrel instead. Fountain not used by Tezzaboy. That is going to be a dead Spaghetti. Shingy's the last one left alive. No damage. No sustain is not enough. And Yonsi's going to try and kite this sentry, and that will be a sentry and a gold mine for Divine Aurora.
Well, that fight definitely, was a very long one, and it was in. You would think that the Eve of Harvest definitely allowed sustain for Chingy, but it was just not enough because the amount of damage coming out from the side of Divine Aurora was just too much for your Eve of Harvest to even sustain through you, and of course the back off and then coming back. I must say, Tezzaboy played well in that team fight, but one big issue with Tezzaboy, and as we all know, and the entirety of Southeast Asia actually know this, the biggest weakness of Tezzaboy is not popping the fountain, if not then popping it way too late. And in this case, he was just not popping the fountain at all, and thus kind of causing the team fight. I would not say that was quite a team fight, went wayward, went southwards for the side of RNG. But Divine Aurora definitely played to their strength as well. Going in, trying to take someone down. If they can't do it, they back off again. And then they go back in again. Because looking at the entire team comp, they do not quite have the sustain that Chingy has. Or Tezzaboy has with a fortified health coming out from those polite companies. So they just need to work like assassins. They need to play like assassins. Go in, come out, go in, come out, go in, come out. And that is what they did in the team fights. And they did it very, very well.
Speaking of Assassin, Spitfire trying to sneak to the back line, but will be spotted out by a polite company, and he's going to back off. I was a bit worried that Spitfire was going to end up going for the Storm Crown just because of the slot efficiency that he had. So I was watching what he built, but he ended up building an Aegis and then working towards Aftershock. So that's really good. I wouldn't have liked Storm Crown, especially this late into the game. Tezzaboy will be spotted porting home. And so this could be a half-full goal mine for Divine Aurora. Yeah, why not? It's 14 minutes in. Will they be able to get it in time? They have 5 seconds. Yeah, 5 seconds to half health. 5 seconds down to 0 health. Divine Aurora should be able to. No, maybe not. Will they get the burst? Yes, they will. Just barely. The Kraken awakens. Decent payout for Divine Aurora. That was close, but they do manage to pick up that gold mine. Put the gold to dead even. So from dead even to ever so slightly ahead in their favour. And Taka still not quite with the Aftershock needs. No, he's going to go Broken Myth. What? I have no idea what Spitfire's building. He's building into everything. Storm Crown, Aftershock, Broken Myth, all at the same time. But he wants that 12% shield pierce against the Aegis on Spaghetti and the Tier 1 armor on Shingy.
Then that would make sense. I mean, your piercing shard will help you, just reduce the amount of a shield coming out from Chingy and Spaghetti, or rather Spaghetti more than Chingy, because Chingy now just sitting on a light shield, not much defense overall, and now Kraken is being taken for a call, lands on Neonsi.
Yeah, Crucible used a bit late, didn't actually block anything because Neonsi managed to trampoline away from the Quibble, but that's going to be a stun, double stun from the core collapse. Quibble is dodged out once again. The Chitin by Taka over the storm, over the Celeste Ultra was actually really well played to tank that damage for Petal. If I expect to win, once again dodging the stun this time, but that's the Quibble. Will he be able to survive with the fountain? Yes, he will. Solar Storm not up. Neither is the one shot. Leonsi going very low, forced to trampoline away so defensively. Has got 3 ult charges, but has no minions to heal himself up with. Now this is, look at this Kraken, is already up to a third. Wait, sorry, I meant to say a half health. RNG does so much onto this Kraken, and Martin's going to try and steal it, but I highly doubt he's going to be able to. Yeah, not against this Celeste Kestrel. And now RNG with the Kraken buff. Renegade trying to go in. Tezzaboy is going to use that Fly Company. He's going to go aggressive. Has not got the Force Record up, but it looks like they're going to, Renegade going to take the sentry. No, they're going to leave it. It's going to try and push this Kraken, possibly for the win. Kraken has a lot more health, and there's 4 turrets standing between them and the Vainglory8.
Yep, and we know that, Kestrel and Celeste are generally very, very good at objectives, and in that team fight, the Shattered Glass picked up by Chingy very late into the game definitely did paid off for him as well. Force card once again.
Does land, and Margin not in a great position. Nyeonsi doesn't manage to trample it away. Kestrel going to be dealing loads of damage onto Nyeonsi in the end. Shingy did get died by Taka, but it was not enough. Kestrel gets the shutdown in the end on Nyeonsi. And now Margin going to take this one-shot, one-kill to the face. There's going to be Taka diving onto Spaghetti, onto Shingy. But a lovely fountain. He said there's a boy sometimes late, not in that fight. Perfect timing, keeping Shingy alive. Taka's trying to run away. Margin's going to get crippled, going to get stunned by the Celeste core collapse as well. Taka's able to port back to the base, but this might just be the game. Nyeonsi's up in 3 seconds. What are Renegade going to do? Spaghetti wants to go in. Shingy does not. Taka's been spotted out, but Spaghetti's like, right, we can win this. Just go for it, guys. Let's do this. Spaghetti onto the turret, onto the first Rain Crystal turret. He's going to go very aggressive. Nyeonsi jumping in. Who's going to get the 1v1? It will be Spaghetti most likely, but there's onto Celeste with the Expertsu. And Nyeonsi's trying to do the damage. Spaghetti onto the turret. He's going to take the turret down, but he will fall to the Taka's Expertsu. Now, what can Tesla Boy do? They're going to get the Kraken down most likely first and then focus onto the Rogue. Yeah, smart plays. That's a little bit late on your forced accord, and everyone just splits away from Finn. He's sad. He can't run. He's going to go as far away
he's going
from
for
the
that.
base. He's going for the sneaky spot, but it's not going to work when they're following you. The base, though, is exposed. There's a Kestrel. That's it that can actually sneak to the base. Margin's picked up 5 scout traps, so he's going to put some vision. The game is not yet over.
Yep, it's not yet over, and we do see, looking over to Margin. Margin actually has got a coat of plates in hand as well, proving his Spaghetti on this Castro, just putting out a ton of damage. Although I personally would not like the or rather I really want to see an extra Crucible coming out. I mean, for the Force Accord as well, with that Echo definitely coming into Tesla Boy later on in the game, and Echo, Echo Force Accord can definitely be blocked up by Spitfire as well. I know. People tell me the hell just do not justify, the Crucible pickup at all. But overall, Neon Sea and Spitfire is constantly getting caught out by those Force Accord that Margin isn't blocking at all. I'm not trying to throw shade here, but Margin,
like it.
Margin really needs to start blocking out those Force Accord. I mean, looking over the board, right? Tesla Boy only has got 1 charge of it. There is no echo build on him, so it's quite easy, because if Tesla Boy manages to chain 1 Force Accord into a Solar Core Collapse, and it'll be done for.
He's going to be engaged, attack the back. Explosive does go on to Kestrel. Spitfire going to do the Kaizen, but now he has no damage. Has to try and run away. Shingy and take the brunt of the damage from Petal, but Kestrel gets the return kill. Spaghetti going to do the damage, but now is Spitfire onto the back line. Going to do as much damage as he can, but Spaghetti will be able to run away for now. Is Taka going to dive the tier 3 turret? Does not look like it. Kraken is up, but I don't think Divine Aurora have the damage. Taka's still with the Stormguard banner, but I want to talk about this Taka build. So Divine Aurora are clearly on the path that everyone says Aftershock is OP, but they completely disagree. They just don't build it. They haven't built it any game today. Spitfire could go on Spaghetti now, but he's not going to go to. So in the end, he went for the Shatterglass into Clockwork instead of going into Aftershock, and so it's just a really different idea. Spitfire could be caught out. There's a flare. Spitfire going to be pulled in. Nope, he's going to block it quite easily with the reflex block. And now Kestrel, he's got to turn around. Spitfire, he cannot dodge forever. Maybe I'm wrong. Yes, he can dodge forever. He will run away. But this could be a Kraken unless Spitfire manages to get a couple of healing camps. Yeah, Sentry is defeated only for the first time, though. Spitfire's going to port home, so this could be a Kraken for Renegade. They're going to start it up. They know that Taka was so low and probably forced to port. But Divine Aurora is there just to oversee and make sure that Renegade don't take the Kraken. Taka's going to be back. So we're ready for a full team fight, and it's going to be close.
Yep, it will be close. But Taka, Jet, definitely a very sneaky fox with those Kaku and dodges of those glimmer shots coming out from Spaghetti in that fight. And Taka just went down there, 1 shot, 1 kill, connecting on to Neon Sea. And maybe Divine Aurora will not be looking just yet for this fight with Neon Sea not being at full health. However, we do see infusions pop across the board. Total 6 infusions. And now Chingy, right? Spotlight is on Chingy because a fight will be happening.
Yeah, Violet's going to break out, attack at the back, was used. Lots of damage going on to Tesboy in the end. Neoncy going to do a little bit of poke, but not that much. Tesboy's going for a very similar build to Margin, going for that double weapon power defense. Double metal jacket on Margin, but only metal jacket and coat of plates on Tesboy. I'm really confused why Neoncy would pick up a Crucible. As we said, Crucible got worse in terms of giving you defense. Aegis got better, and Finn's not building an Echo. So there's no reason for Neonsi not to get an Aegis. It will keep him alive longer. Tezaboy is by himself. That's going to be Exetsu. And no Kaiton from Taka though. He's waiting to see if he can dodge something. Ball scored. Blocked up pretty simply by margin in the end. Neonsi still has his Crucible available, probably for a core collapse, maybe for an active camo trap. As almost everyone's fully built except for Xingyi and Spitfire, the junglers, still waiting out. Tezaboy actually much further behind his build than Margin is. Still needs to get that full metal jacket. And Spitfire still farming up. Can't quite afford his broken myth. And Neonsi is fully built on this on the petal. Kraken being so like the pack used by Margin. That's 60-second cooldown, so it means they're going to go in. Neonsi taking a lot of damage though from the Celeste. Solar Storm comes through, and Celeste gets the Kraken, probably with the Solar Storm. Neonsi going to get the Fountain, and the Kraken buff has been stopped. Taka trying to dodge away. Will dodge away from the core collapse. Lovely jump from Neonsi. He's basically dead, but not before he gets the Celeste himself. Titan over there to come out. Double quibble by the Finn. Now Spaghetti is going to be X-Red soon. That's an interesting block on the Force Accord, because why not, I guess. Now Spitfire going to try and run in on Spaghetti. Spaghetti going to try and kite for as long as he can. Active cover trap is down. Where's Spaghetti? There he is doing the damage. Margin is the last one alive, but he's going to fall. Kraken's bearing down on the Vayne. In the end, Spaghetti's Kestrel on Renegade wins them the game.
Wins him the game, and Spaghetti playing very well on that Castro, although, you know, there has been a lot of opportunities for Renegade to just go in for the backdoor, but seeing how much vision set down by Margin on that little, you know, fortress, it just seems so impossible in the end. And we saw in a lot of team fights, side of Divine Aurora definitely allowing, or rather definitely pushing the side of Renegades back into the base, forcing them to back off. And I had thought at somewhere in the team fight, maybe Spitfire just outplay Spaghetti, dodging out those active camo. That didn't quite happen, and the game goes to Spaghetti and Team Renegades. Definitely good game, well played to both sides.
Yeah, definitely some interesting builds to look through and think about. I think Xingyi's Eve of Harvest first, it kind of worked. I think, as you saw, once the Shatterglass was picked up, Xingyi really had a massive damage spike. So why not pick that Shatterglass up earlier, get that power spike earlier? Taka not going for the Aftershock. I think it did hurt him in the end. Really hurt his burst damage, and Taka's all about burst against the Celeste and the Kestrel. So it would have made sense to pick that up. He went for the Shatterglass into Clockwork into Myth. Didn't really do the damage he needed to. I think he should have sold his Stormguard banner late game to try and pick up the Broken Myth a bit earlier. But really, really close game between the teams. And in the end, Renegade take the series 2-1. So that's what everyone would have expected, Renegade winning, but no way in the manner that anyone would have expected.
Yeah, it was a very, very close game between both of these teams, and Divine Aurora definitely a team to watch out for. However, they will not be advancing into the semis or finals for tomorrow, so the next chance they have really is for next week, and see who they pair up with, who they go up against. Maybe once again Divine Aurora can show that although they are sitting at a mere 1 point, or rather 2 points now, they have what it takes to go up against the top dogs in Vainglory8 Southeast Asia.
Yep, so that is